Welcome to the first in our series of webinars on Juno tips and tricks. This one is on unboxing. Be on the lookout for future webinars. They will all start with the title of Juno tips and tricks. And this one is unboxing. It's the first in the series. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar. We have two presenters today, beginning with Justine Taylor, the Low Vision Product Manager at APH, and Mike Wood, the Strategic Accounts Manager for Education for Vispero. And they're going to take you through unboxing the Juno and give you all the information you need as you first begin to explore the product. Let's take a look at our learning objectives today. We're going to identify key components, parts, and basic functioning of Juno's box contents. In other words, we're going to tell you what's in the box. We're going to learn at least 3 important functions on the About screen, including the steps on how to check that Juno is up to date, gain knowledge in 4 aspects of system settings: time and date, default save types, update device, and reset device. A couple of challenges we'd like to talk about, things that may be troubling for you. Users need an introduction to Juno before getting started. Just like any other product you get, the more electronic and more technological an introduction is always very helpful. And finally, the Juno requires customization to best benefit a user. Everybody's going to not want all the default settings to be their settings. They're going to want to change things and do things the way they want them done. So let's get started. We're going to hand it over to Mike Wood, who's going to literally show us what's in the box.
Hey, thanks, Paul and Betsy Ann. Appreciate it. I'm excited to be here with Justine today. So thanks everybody for joining us. Justine's definitely the Jedi master of this product. So I know that you will not be stumping us with any questions. So I'm going to switch my camera over to the other camera here. So you can actually, this is legit an unboxing. This package arrived this morning at around 10:30 a.m. on my front doorstep. And here it is. Is the text and everything looking okay from your side? Justine, looking good? It is. Awesome. So here we go. The box is taped up. Let's get this baby opened up and see what is in here. We were laughing earlier because I said, what if it's like the, cutting into the turkey on the Griswold's Christmas Vacation movie there or whatever. Hopefully it's more exciting in here. I'm excited to see what's gonna pop out of here. Hopefully it's like $1 million. So the outer box, and then on the inside, it says Juno, if I flip this around the correct way. So you've got the Juno box inside here. So we're gonna get rid of this large cardboard box. So you've got this nice little white box here with Juno from the American Printing House for the Blind. Right there, little warning telling you about the batteries. And I'm not sure exactly. Oh, and then on the other side, I should say, so on the other side, you're going to have here your serial number and whatnot. So you've got the catalog number, the serial number of the actual product itself. So that's always good to keep track of. Just so that you have that handy. It's also on the unit itself, but if you're going to throw the box away, maybe take a picture of this or scan it and copy it or cut it out. I was laughing earlier because I did cut my address off of that brown box because I said this is going to be on YouTube, and I highly doubt anyone's going to just randomly mail me fun stuff that, so I didn't want my home address out there. So we've got Juno box. Opening that up there, and nice little foam. And as you see here, so on the right-hand side, we have our user's guide. So our user's guide, nicely printed in color here. That's going to obviously be your little holy grail with images in there, how to do everything within the Juno. So I won't obviously flip through all of this, but as Paul had said, we're going to do follow-up webinars on the Juno, and we'll cover a lot of the stuff that's in this book. For example, here I flipped to the page. This is copying Juno files onto a computer. So pretty cool feature, but we're not going to get into that today. That'll be future. You then also have a little quick start guide here. So this is a little smaller brochure that just kind of gives you quick start, basic functionality, what the buttons are, so on and so forth, pocket size.
And Mike, that little guy, the little quick start,
Yeah.
we made it that size so it can fit in the case with the Juno. So
See,
your
Justine,
student
that is
can
good to know.
pop it right in
So-
the case and it can go along with Juno. So if they're in a class and they need some extra help from their teacher, it's right there with it.
Yeah, and it is super. That's a great point. I didn't realize that it was designed to fit in that case perfectly. And,
Yep.
That's nice because it is, it's small enough and it's pocket sized really. So that's a good point. Great. And then of course you've got the case. Has a strap. So if you want to put this over your shoulder, zippers around the entire perimeter. And then inside that case is the Juno itself. And just to show, as Justine said, you can easily fit that little thing right in there. Quick start guide. Handy dandy. Also inside, I want to point out on the case too, there's like a little, there's a little plastic insert here, which this is great. So if you have multiple Junos in the class, you could easily slide in their name or something to identify who this product does belong to. You could put that in there. You may even want to put in there the number, the serial number too, to easily remember that information. So there's your case. And there is the Juno. And we'll go into some of what these buttons are and what they do here shortly, but that's in there. And then the box now looks like it's empty, but it's not. So on the right-hand side, which is below that user guide and the quick start guide, you actually can pull this up here from the middle or from the back here. There's a little section where you can slide your finger in there. When you pull that up, you then get a nice little lens wipe. So that's great to wipe the screen, safe to wipe the screen of the Juno. You then get all of your different power adapters here. So I'm going to open this up just to give you all an idea. So I don't even know what all these different country adapters are, but I definitely know the UK one. And then you want to find the one that suits your area. So we're in the US here, so we'll use this plug. So we have that. I'm going to put these other ones in here just to put those aside. You then have the charging block itself. So the charging block. And to actually put this together, we take that plug that I had a second ago there, right? And what you're going to do is you line that up. So I'm going to come up a little closer to the camera there and see if that helps. So you'll notice here, there's a little indents or little openings, I should say, on the sides of that. And if you look at this, there's actually a little bit of sections that poke out on the sides. So you're just going to line that up, and then that just slides in. And you'll hear it click. And now that's locked in. If you ever needed to take that off and switch it, there is a little button right here. Try and get the best lighting. There you go there. And then that will just pull up and then pull off. So that's that. And that just slides in there. There's your plug ready to go. Then inside the plastic here, you have your actual charging cable. Put that up. I ate my Wheaties this morning. And so this is a USB to USB-C cable. And to charge the Juno, you'll actually plug that USB into that power adapter. And then the Juno has a USB-C port on the left-hand side of the product. And then that's just going to plug right into that USB-C right there. And you'll see a large or a close-up of this shortly on a slide, just to give you better lighting. But there is the side of the Juno. And again, that's just going to go right into that USB-C port right there. I like that you guys designed this, or that we designed this together, I should say, to be a USB-C so that it doesn't matter which way it goes in. USB-C can go either side. And then The last cable that's there is an HDMI. So you've got a mini HDMI to a regular HDMI cable. So on the side of the Juno, there is a mini HDMI port. And this is really nice because you could then take this and then plug that HDMI into a larger monitor or into a television. I even plug mine into a video capture card oftentimes and project, which you'll see when you come to our future events on the Juno. I then actually just push the image out through that video capture card to my laptop through Zoom, so you can see exactly what I see on the Juno screen. So that's nice. So that is a mini HDMI to a full HDMI cable. And that's it. Other than you've got your little bag of silica gel beads to keep the moisture down inside the box. That's all. That's what you're going to find inside of your Juno box when you receive it from the American Printing House. So good stuff there. Anything, Justine, that I missed or want to mention that was in there?
No, that was beautiful. It was great. I
Thanks,
love
this is
seeing
exciting.
it live. Yeah.
You know, and like I said, I had to request one just because I was like, oh gosh, you know, mine I've been using for a while and I don't have all the components. And I was like,
Yeah.
I can't pretend to put it back together like it actually came from the.
You
from
can
the
never
company.
get it back in the way it comes.
No. So this was great. And you got to see firsthand, everybody, exactly what comes in the Juno box. So there you go. Just throw this back in there. And I'm going to now flip it back over to you, Paul. And I'm going to flip my camera back to myself. And then
I will start sharing screen because we've got a poll question.
okay.
This might be a little bit of a pre-reading question. And I'll turn it over to Paul.
You can at least guess on this one. We would like to know, where can you find the user manual for the Juno? This should be select all that apply. Where can you find the user manual? Is it saved in settings on the Juno? Is it on the about screen, in the box, in default save types, or on the APH website? Where can you find the user manual?
We're going to definitely weed out like those that have used the Juno before on this one, because it's kind of a trick question. As you said, Paul, there's more than one spot. So that's the hint that I'm giving.
Thank you. And while you're taking that poll, of course, drop any questions you have in the chat. We'd be happy to answer those as we go through this presentation. Mike, I was so hoping you were going to do a little ASMR and pull that screen protector off for all of us who love those moments when it comes off cleanly.
I should have, and I would have had to like whisper too, right? And I could have been like clicking away on my keyboard like they do in those. Yeah.
It's brand new.
This is a wonderful product.
My little organizational heart loves those.
Those are fun. And I keep mine. I'm like one of those people that keep it to like stick it back on before I ship my products back home. Don't ask me why, but it's one of those, when we package things up from conferences, I always try to get it exactly the way it was when we received it, even though it goes back to the warehouses, you know, to be re-looked at and tested and everything again, but.
All right, well, we've had about 51% participate in our poll. Mike gave you the hint that there was more than one answer. 88% said you can find the user manual in the box. Good job for that 88. The next greatest percentage, 50% said you can find it on the APH website. 31% said you can find it saved in settings on Juno. 6% said it's on the about screen, and 0% said it was in default save types. So I'm going to end that poll and ask Mike and Justine, what were the correct responses?
You want me to take it?
Sure, take it, Justine, yeah.
So it was a little bit of a trick question. Obviously, it's in the box. You all saw it in the box. It's also on the website, which I think was the next largest group that answered. So good job. It is on the product page for Juno on the APH website. You can find it and download it in the manual section of the product page. And then it is in the About screen, which we will get to later in the webinar. When we dive into the menus a little bit, you'll see it's actually on the device itself. So if you ever lose it or need to quickly access the user guide, you can do it right from the device. So we'll show you that.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We did have one question come in that really relates to that unboxing. Is it safe to charge the Juno using 220 volt international power standard and not just the 110 volt US standard?
No, that's a great question, because it comes with the different international charging adapters, and I believe, let me see here, I'm gonna have to get my my reading glass now. Take my regular glasses off. I think this will yeah, it's 100 to 240 volt. So yeah, it should be, I would say that would be absolutely fine. Just make sure obviously you use the right adapter. So it comes with what, 4 different adapters that you can use. And yep, I don't see why that would be an issue at all. So great, really good question. Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, well, I'm going to move on to the first of our slides, which is Juno components.
Yeah, so this I thought was a good slide, just because if later on these will be posted on the website, I'm sure, and if you need them for a handout, we can provide them. But this kind of just gives you a basic overview of what the buttons are on the Juno, right? So on the very top, you have your rotating camera, and that's a pretty cool feature because you can actually do distance, a little bit of distance, self-facing. You also can change that to a different position if you're writing underneath the Juno. So that rotating camera gives you multiple different positions. And that's on the very top center. I'm going to go around the bottom, go around to the left. So I guess that would be counterclockwise. And so on the top left, jump back one more slide, Paul, for me. Thank you. On the top left, you have your power button. And the nice thing is these are all tactile. And so the power button is recessed in. So if again, if you're going to be low vision most of the time using this, right? So we made them tactile so that you can actually feel it as well. It's also color coded. So that's a dark gray surround with a light gray button in the middle for the power. Below that is buttons 3 and 4, according to this slide. But those are your color mode buttons. So you can move up or down, and those are going to change your color code, or your color contrasts, I should say. And those are kind of a teal blue color, the APH blue. And then going around on the bottom right-hand side, buttons 6 and 7 are a plus and minus, and these are kind of a golden yellow color. And what these are is these are your plus and minus to increase or decrease zoom or magnification. This is a touchscreen device, so you can also use your fingers on the touchscreen to pinch and zoom. But if you want to use the buttons, these are nicely labeled. They're large. They also have a little bump dot on each of them too, so you'll know what you're on. And moving up above from that is button number 5, which is a magenta reddish color. And that is the picture capture. So you can capture an image pressing that to save an image to the Juno, or press that to return to live view. And then of course, the LCD screen is labeled number 8 on this slide. And that's just letting you know it is touchscreen. So same thing, if you turn on your guidelines or masking features, you can actually just drag your finger around the screen to move things around, pinch and zoom. And then to select the on-screen menus, which we'll get into in a little bit, you would also do that. Next slide. So it was hard to show during the unboxing, and that's why I threw this slide in there as well. So on the left-hand side of the Juno, if you were looking at it right out of the box, looking at it, front facing, on the left-hand side, there's a couple different buttons, not buttons, excuse me, I guess ports. So you've got an audio jack. You have the USB-C jack, which was the one that I showed you earlier, where you can actually connect to the power adapter. You can also use that USB-C to USB cord to connect to your computer to transfer files back and forth. So you can transfer PDFs and other types of files, which we'll go into again in a future webinar, but just so you know the functionality of this product, it has a lot of cool, powerful tools. So you can do that. Below that is your HDMI mini. And then below that is a little charging LED light. So when you first plug this in, it might show up red, letting you know that it needs to charge. Once it's fully charged, it will show up green. This shows you a different angle. This shows you with that reading stand opened. So it sits at a great angle for reading, very ergonomic. You don't have to lean over the device. You can sit back nicely and view the screen. That stand does collapse and closes. And then this gives you another angle of the camera at the top. So that camera, again, is a pivoting camera that rotates. And this just gives you a couple different views of that. Next slide. Thanks, Paul. So then on this slide, it's just a close-up, repetition, right? Again, close-up, so you now see really closely, your audio jack, which is your, 3.5 millimeter auxiliary cord. Is that, thanks. I see Justine saying yes. Thank you, Justine.
Yes, you got it.
And then the USB-C, HDMI mini, and the charging LED. So if you've got, a headset that you want to do that, you can use that. So that's pretty much it. That's all the inputs on the left-hand side.
And Mike, before we move on, we had a question in the chat. Is the light always on when the stand is open?
So by default, it turns on. And I believe, Justine, isn't there an option to turn the lights off? If I recall, that's a great question. The light by default.
You mean like the LED lights on the back of the device where the camera is?
Yep.
Yeah, you in the menus, you can turn those lights on and off. Yes. So in the main menu, you'll hit the restore button in the bottom left corner, and that will bring up your button bars. And in those menus on the right-hand side, there's a light button in the middle, and you can toggle that on and off.
Thank you. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. I have not messed with that part much, but I did know that by default, they'll go on automatically when you open it.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to go into the menu to shut them off.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they do turn off automatically if you rotate the camera 180 degrees facing yourself. The lights automatically turn off, but you can turn those on manually in those settings, in the button bar setting. Yeah.
Thank you. That was a great question. That's a good question to know, because sometimes depending on what you're reading, I find that sometimes you might get, some glare maybe from lighting if it's a really glossy surface. So the ability to turn those on and off is nice. And then, as you said, when you're doing the distance viewing, they shut off because, they're not going to really.
Don't want to shine in people's eyes. Yeah, it depends on where that camera is rotated, if they're on or off. Yeah.
Yeah, great question. Thank you.
All right, are we ready to head on to our main menu structure?
I think so. I think we're pretty good to jump onto it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to jump in here now and talk a little bit more into detail about the menus. And our next webinar is going to dive into all these different menus, and we're going to go and show you in each step by step in each menu. But this just gives you a breakdown of the main menu. So like I said, the way you access all the menus is through the little restore button in the bottom left corner. Will open up your button bars on the sides. And the main menu is the top left button on the screen. And if you tap that, you'll get 4 options, and you'll get a little file folder, which is the file manager. And if you tap on that, that's going to open up where all of your files are saved. And then below that, you have the brightness icon. So if you tap on the brightness menu, it's going to open up a little slider switch at the bottom of the screen. And if you drag that slider to the left, it's going to dim the screen. If you drag it to the right, it's going to brighten that screen up. And then on the left hand side, or right hand side, sorry, you'll have the information icon, and that's the about this device. So if you tap on that icon, you're going to get the about screen. And we're going to go into more detail about that next. And then below that is your settings icon. If you tap on settings, you get 4 more options, which is your reading settings, your menu settings, user settings, and system settings. And we're going to go into a little bit more detail about the system settings in this webinar today as well. So this just gives you a breakdown of each of those options in your main menu. Next slide, please. Okay, so this gives you information about the About menu. So from the previous slide, that little icon, the little information icon, if you tap that, you're going to get a screen that opens up, and you get 3 buttons at the bottom. And those are support. So if you click on the support button, it's going to open up and give you all of the details of how to contact customer support. And then your manual is in the About screen. So if you tap on the manual button, it's going to open up the user guide. And then the acknowledgements button there at the bottom, if you tap on that, that's going to give you some more detail about the third-party software development of the product. So this is the About screen. It gives you some good information. So I wanted to let you guys know that it's there, and the user guide is available on the device from here.
I'm really glad that we included that, user guide or, manual in the product itself, just because it's one less thing to have to carry around. It's constantly with you. If you run into an issue, you just open this up and get right into it. So that's a nice feature.
Yeah, I like that it's available in a lot of different places.
Mm-hmm.
If we go to the next slide.
We have a poll question on the next slide.
Oh,
we're gonna make
poll
sure
question.
everyone is with us. Yeah.
Oh, good.
All right, so here we go. The question is, where is the About menu located? Is it in settings, user settings, system settings, or the main menu? Where's the About menu located? Settings, user settings, system settings, or main menu? And put your questions in the chat if you would while this is going on, once you get that question answered, that poll question. If you have any questions for Mike or Justine, put them in the chat.
I don't think this is a trick question. This one's pretty straightforward.
We kept it pretty easy on this one.
All right. Don't see any more questions coming into the chat, but do know that you can place those there whenever you have them, and we can address them throughout today's webinar. And I'll also just post the product page for Juno if you'd like to check it out and go see the user guide for yourself on the product page. You can do that as well. So with about 40% having participated in this poll, where is the About menu located? 75% said main menu. And the rest of the 3 responses shared 8% each. And those were settings, user settings, and system settings. So Justine, what was the correct response?
You guys got it. It was in the main menu is where you could find that About screen. So before you even get into settings, you can find that information right on that icon with the little eye that says the About this device. And if that's before you get into any settings. So it's right from that main menu.
And if we have time towards the end too, I'm happy to plug my Juno in and show, on screen, so we can share my screen again and show you exactly what you'd see. You've got the great images on the slides too, but if anybody wants to see it live, we can do that too.
Awesome. All right. I think we can move on to how we check the software version. So talking a bit more detail about the About screen. So the most up-to-date software version for Juno is 2.0.36. And you can check your Juno and make sure it has the recent software version by tapping on that restore button. And then you tap the main menu in the top left corner. And then you tap the information icon. And then the About screen shows you your app version, your OCR version, the text-to-speech version, and your serial number is also located on the About screen. So if you did throw your box away, or you don't know, where the serial number is, if you can't find it, it's on the device in that About screen. And if you touch any of the menus, it's going to read it out loud to you, which we will go over in future webinars. You'll see that. So I just wanted to give you a way so you can actually check that your device is up to date. And the Juno has not gotten any software or firmware updates. So it's up to date, out of the box, ready to go. So if you want to check for any future updates, this is where you would go and check it out. And you can check our website. On the product page of the website is where we have this information located for any future updates. They'll be on our website. And you can go on there and check, if the number is numerically higher, then you can go ahead and install the update, and you'll do that through a USB-C flash drive.
It's pretty easy. I did mine.
It's super easy.
Yeah, it's super duper easy. And you can do it through the flash drive, or you can even plug it right in with that cable that it comes with, the USB-C to USB cable. And I had used that to update it. And yeah, it's just basically dragging and dropping a file, and it automatically does the update. So it's pretty straightforward. I saw that somebody asked, does the software automatically update? Once you drag that file over, it does. You don't need to be connected to the internet on the Juno itself. Now, your computer, you'd want to be connected, just because you're going to take that file from the APH website to your computer. And then you don't need internet access, though, on the Juno.
Yep. There, the next slide will show the icon as well, where
How to do it.
Updates. Yeah.
And Justine, someone had asked, and I forget, what's the battery life? Is it 5 hours, 4 hours on this continuous use?
Three hours.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go over the battery as well.
I thought that was coming up. And then you're going to touch on voices as well, or no? Just because they asked a question about voices. We're not today, right? So
no.
So I can answer that then. So yeah, there's definitely choices of voices. So if you like male, female, there's different, language voices as well. So if you scan in a different language and want it to be read back to you in Spanish, German, I forget all the different ones that are in there, but we'll go into more of those again in a later webinar when we dive more into the scanning OCR capability. But yeah, there's definitely different voices that you can choose. And then someone asked, Faye had asked about the teacher features. We're not going to go super in depth today, Faye, on the teacher features as far as like turning things off, just because today was more of the unboxing just like the intro. So this is a series of webinars. I kind of called it like the soap opera of the Juno. And so we're kind of starting off with just the unboxing, some of the basic functionality, and then we want to dive more in depth as time goes on with the Juno, just because it's definitely a super powerful tool. I've had fun messing around with my demo unit, and we just were at CSUN conference and played with it a little bit there at the conference, but you know, so far so good with the feedback. It's got some powerful functionality.
And I think we have a hand raised. If you don't mind placing your question in the chat, I could also allow you, I think, to talk. So Christina, I'm going to give you the option to talk.
Awesome.
All right, Christina, what was your question?
My question is this for phone, for a smartphone, or just computer?
So this is a standalone, great question, Christina. So this is a standalone device. So this unit is a 7-inch display screen video magnifier. So this is an all-in-one. So you don't need a phone and you don't need a computer to use it. You really, it's all in one.
Oh, wow. That's neat.
Yeah, it's really neat. It has a lot of cool functionality. I mean, sorry, Justine, I don't want to steal your thunder, but it's got, you know, the capability of changing your contrast, you know, obviously magnifying the text. You can do self-facing. So if you want to, you know, check your makeup, you know, check your hair, make sure that your hair looks good. And then you've got guidelines for reading, you've got masking, you've got OCR, so you can scan and read with this. You can save documents to it. The only time you'd need a computer is if we released a new software version, you would need a computer to then download that software to it. But, you know, as Justine said, right now out of the box, it's ready to go. And in the future, if we did do an update to it, if you were to buy it, you know, after the update's done, you're going to get the updated version. It only pertains to those that maybe you buy it today, and then in a year we do an update. Well, then you could update your product that you bought a year ago, you know. That would be the only thing.
How much does it cost?
So we're going to mention that. So that's coming up on a future slide. So stick with us, Christina, for the price of the Juno.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Great questions. Thanks for joining us today too.
Thanks for having me.
No worries.
All right, we had one more question come in the chat and I see another hand raised. Do you guys want to take those questions or do we want to keep moving on and we'll address those later?
Let's move on just so we
Right.
make sure we fit it all in, and then we'll definitely pause again.
Great, thank you. So if you don't mind, you can place your questions in the chat. I promise we won't forget them. I will be keeping track and we will address them at a later time. Okay, so I'm going to move on to system settings slide.
Okay, yes. So the system settings is a little bit deeper into the menus. So it'll display a screen which has 4 more options. So it's where you can set the time and date, the default save types, update your Juno, and reset to defaults. So this is where you'll find these options, and that is in the settings menu. So that if you think back to that slide we had from the main menu, there's that little settings icon. You'll tap on that and then you'll see that's where system settings is. And when you first get your Juno out of the box and turn it on, it's going to step you through these setup features. So you have to go through and set the time and date, set the Juno voice. You know, there's a few setup screens and you can't exit out of them until you have gone through all of the setup. So there's just a few that you'll go ahead and set up. So I just wanted to mention those on the unboxing webinar, so you know how to get back to these settings if you need to change something. It's in the system settings area. So we can move to the next slide and talk about each one of these. So the time and date, that's where you can press that little icon to open the time and date menu screens, and you'll have a screen where you can set the time, and you'll just scroll through and select the, the hours, the minutes, AM, PM, and then you'll go ahead and press OK, and then it'll take you to the date screen. So that's where you can set up the date on the month, day, year, and you can go ahead and set up all of your time and date, and that's displayed in the top right-hand corner of your Juno. And then the default save types is where you can select your default file types, and that's when you're capturing pictures and documents. You can set the default file type used when capturing text. So that's where that menu will show you all the different file types, and you can select which one you want it to be saved as. And then your update Juno, this is where we were talking about updating. That icon is where when you put in your USB-C flash drive, and you'll go into system settings, and then you'll tap on the update Juno icon, and that's where it'll take you through the menus to update your device. And then reset to defaults. So this is also in your system settings options. You'll press on the reset defaults, and that's just gonna reset your device to the default values. And so all your customized settings are going to be lost. So you can, this kind of talks a little bit about the voices. So you can select your volume, your speech rates, the brightness level, and your voice selections. If you reset to default, all those are going to be lost, but the main voice the menu voice, the time and date are going to be saved on there still. So I think the only time after initial setup that you have to reset the time and date is if your Juno goes completely dead, then you'll need to set the time and date again. But if you reset your device, it's still going to be saved. Okay, so that's all the all the different menus that I wanted to go over for this one. And like I said, the next webinar, we're going to show you how to go through all the menus.
Great. Well, we have a poll question, and while folks are answering that poll question, we can go back and check in on some of the questions that we've missed. So Paul, I'm going to let you get that poll started.
Okay,
Thanks, Betsy.
so this is a true or false question now. And it is, you can reset your device in system settings, true or false. You can reset your system settings you can reset your device in system settings, true or false.
All right, so going back, we're going to start with the one question we got in the chat. Does the Juno support the Arabic language?
That is not one of the languages that's offered. I believe we only have like 4 or 5, because if we put any more on there, we were going to lose the file storage. So the more languages, the less file storage you have. So we had to kind of narrow it down.
And I believe, and we can go into this too, but I believe it's German, French, Spanish, English, and then I believe there may be.
I think it's Chinese.
Yeah, I think Chinese.
Yeah.
Mandarin.
Simplified.
I think Mandarin.
Yes.
Maybe? Yeah. Mm-hmm. but not Arabic. Sorry for that.
All right, Ashley, I see your hand raised. I'm gonna allow you to talk. Ashley, what's your question?
Hi.
Hey,
Working? No. Okay, I guess you all can hear me good. So hello. Well, Christina took one of my questions, but the other two I have are I believe you mentioned that that in the box there was like a headphones, or on the unit there was a jack. I was just going to clarify, does it does it connect to any set of headphones for hearing the speech part of the Juno, and oh yeah, my other question was, can you clarify what file types it supports once you've created documents and by scanning them? Because you mentioned you could save documents in there, so thank you.
Yes. Mike, do you want to take the headphone question while I look up the file types?
sure thing. Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, so the audio jack is a 3.5 millimeter, like, audio jack on the side. So basically any headset that has that regular, audio jack, you can actually put right in there on the side. And that would be it. So it's a 3, will give you the headset option. So great question. And it does not come with a headset. So you would have to use your own headset, but it does have that jack on the left-hand side for you to plug your headset into. Then I believe, Ashley, you had another question. I know Justine's looking up the different file types, but then did you have another question as well?
Yeah, to repeat, thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
By the way, you have a great announcer voice. Yeah, the
Oh,
other
thanks.
question was,
Thanks very much, Ashley.
does it support Italian? I know you mentioned French, but Italian and Spanish. Thanks.
It does not. Great question. So it's unfortunate, but that we didn't put in more because the capability is there, of course, to do, but it doesn't. So it's German, English, French, Spanish, and then Chinese as well, Mandarin. And then I do have Justine. I found the files too. So if you didn't.
Yeah, I just found them. So for
Okay.
the document file types that you can save are text, RTF, PDF, and docx. And then the image files are BMP, JPEG, PNG, and WebP files.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
This I promise my last question is, so are you saying that you can import somehow like on a thumb drive, a JPEG file and enlarge it because it's a magnifier? Would that be one use for this? Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you can take, you think about in the classroom, what if the teacher has a PDF file that they have not had a chance to make accessible yet? So they can just take that PDF file and export it and import, take it from their computer and import it onto the Juno. And then that kiddo can open that file up, enlarge it, and do all the fun stuff that they need to with it right inside the Juno. So it's nice that it does do those PDFs and text files as well, but also the images. And then I wanted to answer, so Aquila, I'm sorry if I butchered your name. You had said that your display keeps scrolling left to right when you're in the time and date display. So that's actually a setting that's in there because I'm assuming that you probably have your font set really large. And if you hit the minus button, to decrease magnification, you should then decrease that font size and then it will stop scrolling. So for example, I'm going to hold mine up to the screen here for a second, and select language right now is scrolling at the top of my screen. And that's because it doesn't fit nicely in one line of text. But if I decreased that size, it now will stop scrolling and then it just says select reading language. But if I increase that size by pressing the plus button to increase the size of the menu, it makes it large. And so now it cannot fit select reading language. So it has to scroll it so you can actually see all of what's on there. I hope that makes sense. So that setting is.
Do you want to, are you able to connect? Can you connect it to the screen so we can see it? Or is that?
Yeah. If that fell on my laptop, give me 2 seconds.
All right, and while Mike is getting that set up, we can address one more question that was in our chat. So if you travel and your time is changing while you travel, do you need to set the time and date for the current location, or does Juno kind of automatically update like a smartphone?
Huh. That's a very interesting question.
It's a great question. It's not, so the time and date, it's not like set in stone that you have to, I mean, that's more so just so you have it on there.
Yeah,
not
I
gonna
think
damage-
you have to set it.
Yeah, it's not going to damage the unit if you traveled. It's not going to auto update either though.
Yeah, because it's not connected to
Yeah.
things. So you're gonna have to, you would have to change it.
But again, it's not, I mean, if you didn't change it, the worst case scenario is it's going to display the wrong time and you might be late for a meeting.
Like back in the day when people wore watches,
Yeah.
Does anyone wear a watch anymore? I
Justine, good one. Watch
So-
yourself.
Yeah, I was just gonna see if you could, if it's too much of a pain, we can do it next time, but
No, I've got
I
it.
was gonna see if you could show them the time and date thing, because
I've got my,
we are.
you know what I should do?
languages.
Let me actually plug in.
Oh, this is perfect.
You know what I'm going to actually
It's
do? I'm
so
going to
big.
plug in the new, that's my current unit. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to plug in this new unit and I'm going to power it up. And you're going to see exactly what would happen if you were to
Perfect.
turn on your Juno for the very first time. So I'm turning my Juno on. You're going to hear the music in a second. Give it a second.
This is where we have the technical.
It's coming. Nope. It's just, I just plugged it in. So it's going to have to power up here, I think, first. And then there we go.
Oh, yes. There we go.
So this is right out of, literally, this is the one that I just unboxed 40 minutes ago. So is the text showing the correct way for you? It's not mirror image, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it's good.
So your first choice here is select your Juno voice. So you've got Ava US, and if you scroll through these,
This is the voice named Lee.
and tap it,
This is the voice named Karen.
and can you hear that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So,
This is the voice named Daniel.
so you can choose who you want, and we'll choose Ava,
This is the voice named Ava.
and then we're going to just tap on the bottom right-hand side, the arrow to go next.
Next screen.
You remember, you got to tap it again.
Oh, yes, double tap that. Yes,
This is
thank you.
good. Yeah.
So double tap that to select it. And then you have your select date. So interesting thing is this is already knowing that it's March 24th. And now we'll just double tap that again
Next.
and then select the time. So it's 4 o'clock. So I just, and even just using my finger to, it's a touch screen. So I'm just moving my finger to select
And
the
it's
number.
not scrolling. If you enlarge it, will it scroll? Is that what?
Yeah, so that person that asked about the scrolling, so watch what happens when I increase, so I'm
Increase
pressing,
text size.
I'm double tapping the plus button on the right-hand side to increase the text size.
But it's not scrolling.
And
Oh,
there it
There
is.
it is.
Yeah, so I think
Aha.
that's what was happening. I'm pretty sure that that's what was,
Oh,
you know,
yeah, I think if it's like above 24 or 28 or something, it'll scroll because it's just not enough real estate on the screen. So it just
Decrease.
yeah, so, and I think that's
Scroll.
exactly what happened. And it depends on how much text you have on there too. You know, that took a while to get the numbers to scroll.
Mhm.
But for the text at the top, for like select time, it might have
Oh,
started.
that started scrolling
So-
sooner because yeah. Okay. I got you.
So it is for one, so I'm going to choose that,
Next.
double tap, and you know,
Zoom.
we can zoom in, we can pinch to zoom. And was there something else in the menu that somebody had asked about seeing if
Restore.
so this is if I tap that bottom
Hide
left-hand button,
Restore button bar.
the two arrows there on the bottom left, if I tap those, it pulls up your options. Actually, this is a great segue too. So earlier that, I forget the person that asked, I apologize, forget your name, but about the light, turning the light on or off. Up on the
Yes.
top right-hand side, you'll see the little light bulb. That actually is the same type of light bulb that pops up over my head when I have a great idea, and which isn't very often. And if I tap
Turn
that,
off lights.
the nice thing with this Juno is by one tap on any of these items, it actually tells you what's going to happen. So listen when I tap that.
Turn off lights.
It says turn off lights. If I double tap that button,
Turn on.
it shuts the lights off. So in my office, it's pretty dark right here where I'm at, and I don't have great lighting. So it's not going to show you much, you know, but now if I turn those lights back on,
Turn up.
double tap, it brings me right back to that. So I need the light for that. But there might be some instances where you don't. So you have the option to be able to do that. Turn them on and off. And then just to go into what Justine just talked about earlier, the top left
Main menu.
is my main menu, and that's the 3 lines. If I double tap that, I'm in my main menu. The other cool thing I think that is neat to show is if you want to change the color contrast on this menu, so by default, it's kind of this like yellowish, you know, color. You can actually
Change color.
tap on those blue buttons on the left-hand side, the contrast buttons,
Change.
and this will change your menu to different colors.
Change.
So I think that's kind of a cool feature that's built in there too. And you can scroll through the preset contrast buttons that you can also
Yep.
customize.
And you can see your time and dates in the top right corner. If you
Yes.
it'll read it to you.
So if I tap it,
Yeah.
Time and date for 3 p.m. March 24th, 2022.
Yep. And then I think we do have a few slides on the battery. So we can
oh yeah, we did. So we can jump back into the slides. I'm sorry. Let's jump back into that. And then if we want
No,
to.
I just wanted to show this. Yes, this is
Yeah, no, I'm glad we could do it.
yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna take back over sharing.
Take it.
First, we're going to wrap up our poll. So we did ask several minutes ago, true or false. You could reset your device in system settings, and 100% answered true.
Yep.
They were
Great.
listening.
You're paying attention. That's great.
Great
is
work with
good.
that. Yeah. All right, so we're on the battery status slide.
Okay, yes. So you're gonna press where am I at? Press the power button. So this talks a bit about the standby feature. So standby mode is going to save your battery life of your Juno a little bit. I think we talked about it's 3 hours that you get of continuous use for the battery. So if you briefly press the power button, that's gonna put it in standby mode. And then to fully power off the Juno, you have to press and hold the power button for about like 10 seconds. So you have to really press it and hold it to power down. But if you do a brief press, it's gonna just turn your screen off and it's gonna go into sleep mode. And if you briefly press it again, it's gonna wake up your device, and you can set the amount of time that you want your device to be active. I think the default is 5 minutes. But if you want to change it to be on for 30 minutes before it goes to sleep, you can do that in systems. Or no, it's not in system setting. It's in user settings. So if you go to the restore button, you go to the opens up your button bars, you go to your main menu, you go into the settings icon, then you're going to tap on user settings, and that's where the standby screen is going to be. And then you'll swipe up or down in those different menus to select the number of minutes that you want your device to stay awake before it goes into standby mode.
And one key thing I want to point out is the nice way to remember whether or not you're in standby or if you're totally powered off or on is that kind of the audio chime. So it gives you a chime when you first turn it on. And then when you're powering down, it will also give you a chime when you're actually powering the unit down. So if you don't hear that chime, you're just in standby mode. If you hear the chime, then it's off.
Yep. Okay, we can move on to the next slide.
Right, and the next slide is our ending polls. So as we're addressing some of those, I think the one question we forgot was, is there a 12-hour and a 24-hour time option?
Oh yes, I forgot. I did see that. And there is not. So the only option in there is the 12-hour option.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
regular time, yeah.
Okay, and we had some, several questions at the beginning to get some background information. These questions are now going to help us as we create future webinars and other future tools too. So these are very important as well, that we answer these and get your responses. And they may require you to write some things in the chat. But let's go through these questions. So the first one is, what topics would you like short tutorial videos created for the Juno? Your choices that we've put in are box contents, charging, updating the device, resetting to defaults, or other. And then if you do choose other, please put whatever other is in the chat so we know what topics you're interested in seeing short tutorial videos created on. Next is, would you like a skills performance checklist to help with student progress monitoring for instruction on the Juno? Yes, I would like this available, or no, this is not needed. And following up for that second question, select what components of a skills performance checklist are important to you. So if you think you would like one of these lists, what would be stuff that you would like to see on it? The choices we've given you are all functions and elements of each menu screen, identifying buttons, ports, and connections, just the top features, time and date of completing skill, pictures of icons, or other. And again, in that case, if it's other that you would choose, please put what other is in the chat. Definitely fill those out for us as we prepare not only future webinars in this series, but other helpful materials to help you as you continue to learn and grow with the Juno.
Right, and while you're taking those questions and putting your other options into the chat, I think I just saw a hand. Yes, okay, so D, Amen, I'm gonna allow you to talk. What's your question?
Hello.
Yes, hello.
First, thank you for for this information. I am Ayman Al-Kholi, PhD in special education. I will ask Mr. Mike, what about blind people? Can we see in future something for read picture for these people blind?
Yeah, so there's
or translate picture or words for braille language. And I would this in I want see Arabic language. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being here and thanks for the question. So what I'll tell you is if you're looking for something for scanning and reading for totally blind, there are some devices out there that we have that are available for that capability. They'll scan in multiple languages. There are some that will do many, many, many more languages than just what the Juno does. So the Juno was developed with APH and Vispero working together for a specific market, I would say, or a specific group of people, right? It has a ton of functionality, but it doesn't have every single function out there in the world in there either. So there are scanning and reading devices for that will, read different languages to you. As far as translation, there's nothing. There are some things out there, nothing that we really provide for translation, I find. But if you have something in a native language, you can then scan it in and have the product read it to you in that native language. As far as images, there is a functionality in our software called JAWS. So inside of JAWS and inside of Fusion, which are also available through American Printing House for the Blind. So APH offers those on their website. And those products do have something called Picture Smart. And Picture Smart is really neat because you can actually take a JPEG or a picture you find on the web, a picture from social media, and using the software, you can actually, it sends it out to the cloud, it gets analyzed, and then it comes back. And it's instantaneous. I mean, it's within a couple seconds. And then when it comes back to you, it will give you the description of that image. Justine, have you tried that yet? Have you used that in the product?
I have not, but I'm going to. That sounds amazing. Yeah.
It's really cool. And it's one of those features that, when it came out, I don't think that we've talked enough about it really. It's one of those features that's in the product. And it's super powerful. Recently I was on a demo where somebody had the Statue of Liberty and they, scanned with it, and it basically went through and gives you a couple different tiers of, a few different tiers of descriptions. And if you are unsure, if you've got one that you really like, you can say, give me more detailed information, and it will go back out and pull more information down and get even more in depth. So that's out there. But this
one thing we are going to address in a future webinar is the audio tags. So I really like the audio tags on Juno. When you save your file, you can save an audio tag to it. So if, it's a picture of a dog and, or a puppy or something, and you can actually, when you save it, you can speak, picture of my dog Dove. And so when I go back later and I press on that file, it's going to say that that's what it is. So I really liked that we added that feature and the spoken menus onto Juno for people with low vision and blindness that could just tap on the screen to get the audio information in the text to speech in the spoken menus. So yeah, that's definitely something we'll show you guys in a future webinar.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point, Justine, with that talking menu functionality, because I've done some webinars on this in the past, and I had some TVIs that were blind, and they said, having that capability of the talking menu, basically, there's the 7-inch screen, and that there's only specific spots that the menu buttons come up on. So as long as you know where those buttons could be, you just tap on the screen once, and then the product will read to you what that button
Find
is.
it, yeah.
So
that it helps. And we can definitely think of future updates adding some extra languages in there. I did request the Arabic language, but it just wasn't enough space on the Juno right now as it is. But in the future, maybe we can get more file store or like more storage on the device to add more languages. Absolutely.
Great.
questions.
Well, I've got another raised hand, but in the interest of time, just want to make sure that we're covering all of our bases that we need to cover. We can go over these poll questions, share some responses in the chat. Then we'll take some more questions, and Mike and Justine, if there's anything else you wanted to cover during today's webinar. We've got about 15 minutes left. So
Thanks.
for the poll questions that we asked, and these were really for our benefit so that we can know more about what you guys are looking for when it comes to support for the Juno. The question was, what topics would you like short tutorial videos for the Juno? Majority at 69% said updating the device definitely needs a short video. Next greatest categories all shared 23%, and those were charging the device, resetting to default, and a lot said other, and we'll look at those in just a minute. And then 8% said box content. So sounds like we did a great job today of covering the box contents for the Juno, and this will be posted, of course, on our YouTube page. And our hope is to one day make it over to the Hive. Would you like a skills performance checklist to help with student progress monitoring for instruction on Juno? 62% said yes, 38% said no. And then for those of you who did want a skills performance checklist, what would be most important? 62% said all functions and elements of each menu screen. Then 38% said identifying buttons, ports, and connections. 46% said just the top features. 31% said time and date of completing skill. And 31% said pictures of icons would be important. So backing up in our chat, Faye would like to see some resources on using teacher features, which we'll definitely be exploring in future webinars on Juno. Seeing how to use the Juno, scanning and saving photos, or whatever the functions are, just one at a time. So splitting up those functions as we're doing in these webinars. It would be great to have a basic checklist and a full checklist. So kind of an introductory checklist, and then maybe a more advanced skills checklist. Applying contrast settings to pictures and text that was captured through the Juno itself. So maybe a short tutorial or on the checklist, that ability. So thank you guys for those responses. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, and I'm going to allow Reda Ali, I'm going to allow you to speak your question.
Yeah, great questions so far and great comments in there. I like some of those. And I will say I got a sneak peek at that skills performance checklist that Justine's working on, and it's great because it's going to make it really easy for training on the device, and then also to check and see what skills your student has, mastered within there. So it's going to be nice once that's released.
All right, Reda, are you able to speak your question? All right, well, while you are figuring out if you've got technical issues, feel free to drop your question in the chat. Paul, I'm going to let you start going through our ending slides so we can take any more questions as we get towards the end. So moving on to discoveries.
All right, so let's talk about the things we've learned and discovered today. We've realized that Juno comes with a padded carrying case, a screen cleaning cloth, a power supply, charging cable, HDMI cable, along with the user and a quick start guide. The most up-to-date software version can be found on the Juno product page on aph.org. All the Junos are up to date, as Justine mentioned right now, so that's not an issue at the moment, but it could become one at some point. You can set the time and date and change the default file using the system settings menu. Juno can be updated with a download on a USB-C flash drive. Juno goes into standby mode to save the 3-hour battery life. So let's cover, we had questions about the cost of Juno. So let's give you one last look at the product and talk about the price. If you are a quota purchaser, the price is $1,177. If you are a non-quota user, the price is $1,392. Purchased from aph.org. You can always call our customer service number to place an order or through the website. And again, those prices depend on whether or not you are a quota purchaser or not. And if you have any remaining questions before the end of the webinar, please put those in the chat. We'll try to get those answered for you before we sign off.
Yeah, and Mike, do you want to talk about some complementary products from APH and Vispero?
Yeah, sure thing. You know, there's so this kind of falls right in the middle. So this would be the middle child if this were a family of products. The Juno would be the middle child. So first came the Video Mag HD, and that is a small portable handheld video magnifier, much smaller screen, 4.3-inch screen. It does your basic functionality of magnification, color contrast changes. You can snap and store some images, but it's not going to do OCR or anything like that. It's a great spot magnifier. It's powerful. It's a continued, tried and true product. It's been reinforced to be more kid friendly. So it's robust and, takes a bit more of a beating, rubberized edges and built-in handle. So that's a great starter magnifier. And again, for spot reading. Then you kind of transition to the Juno, where you've got the larger 7-inch screen, you've got the OCR capability and things like that. But then what if, you want to be a little bit more stationary, maybe you want to not move it around as much. You then get the Jupiter. It is still portable. It weighs just about 10 pounds, I believe, give or take a pound or two. And that is a 13-inch screen. And that does distance, close up, and self-facing magnification. You've got a full HDMI camera on there. You can do great distance magnification. And that's a phenomenal product for more long-term reading or magnifying larger device, larger items underneath. You've got a great area to put, I know one school district that does pumpkins in the fall where they're dissecting or, they're carving pumpkins and they're looking at all the guts of the pumpkin, and you can fit a pumpkin underneath that unit really nicely. But yeah, so those are the 3 products that kind of cover all of your magnifying needs. And what I like to tell people is, this is kind of a tool belt of tools, right? And I'm sure, Justine, you can say this better than I can, but it depends on the time of the day. It depends on what you're doing, the task at hand. If you're just doing quick reading of something, you're reading a label of a clothing item or, a menu, that's where that Video Mag HD comes in. If you're doing a little bit more in-depth reading or your eyes start to get fatigued, you want the Juno where you can scan and have it read out loud to you. So yeah, those are a couple other complementary products that we definitely wanted to chat about. So any other questions, comments? We're open to answering them. We're here.